Okay, picture this. You've got the world's most secure museum. It's basically an ancient fortress of history and art, right? And it gets breached in broad daylight. We're not talking about bypassing some intricate laser grids or, rappelling down from a glass skylight at midnight. No, this was just pure, calculated audacity. So let's jump right into this explainer and break down the absolute wild 8-minute Louvre heist that completely stunned the world.
All right, setting the scene. It's the morning of October 19th, 2025. The Louvre in Paris is officially open. You've got eager tourists flowing through the doors. Guards are exactly where they're supposed to be. But outside, something incredibly brazen is going down. 4 men, wearing those bright yellow and orange construction vests, faces covered with balaclavas, are about to crack the world's most secure museum. And honestly, the craziest part of the whole thing, the entire operation took a grand total of just 8 minutes.
The pacing here is literally straight out of a Hollywood thriller. Look at how fast this went down. At 8:30 a.m., the museum opens. Exactly 30 minutes later, at 9 a.m. sharp, a furniture truck, like the kind used for hoisting heavy stuff, pulls up along the exterior wall facing the river Seine. Fast forward to 9:04, and 2 of the thieves are already climbing back out of the Gallery of Apollon, lugging bags just stuffed with priceless royal treasures. By 9:08 a.m., they're gone, speeding away on scooters toward the A6 motorway. I mean, from parking the truck to executing the heist to disappearing into Paris traffic, they needed a mere 8 minutes. And they were violently efficient about it. By blending in as standard construction workers, they used a mechanical lift on their truck to just effortlessly cruise right up to a first-floor balcony. And this wasn't just any balcony, this one leads directly to the Galerie of Apollon, which is where France's royal jewels are kept. Once they were elevated, they pulled out an industrial-grade disc cutter and just sliced right through the thick, reinforced exterior glass. Once inside, they brazenly threatened the guards with power tools, forced the tourists to evacuate, and just started smashing display cases. A total smash and grab. Then, on their way out, they actually tried to torch their lift truck to destroy the forensic evidence. But incredibly, a brave museum staff member out on the street intervened and stopped them.
But amidst all that rapid-fire chaos, the thieves made a really devastating mistake. They had originally grabbed 9 artifacts, but as they were scrambling back out through that hole they cut in the glass, they realized they'd miscalculated. The hole was just slightly too small. In a total panic, they tried forcing the 9th artifact through, heavily damaging it, and actually dropped it onto the street below. That artifact was Empress Eugenie's 1855 crown, custom-made for the wife of Napoleon III. It ended up with severe scratches. The museum director said later that, sure, a physical repair might be possible, but the trauma to a 170-year-old historic piece like that, it's a tragic, permanent loss.
Which brings us to the 8 pieces they did successfully get away with. We are talking about a staggering estimated material value of $102 million. That covers the massive gold settings, the diamonds, the emeralds, and sapphires used in these 19th century royal sets. But we have to be absolutely clear here for a second. $102 million does not even begin to cover the reality of what was taken. The cultural and historical cost is entirely priceless. Literally, you could offer $1 billion and it still wouldn't properly replace these singular artifacts of the French royal family. Now, what's really fascinating here is the bizarre logic behind the heist itself. There is a very strange contrast in what they targeted. They scooped up Empress Eugenie's tiara and brooch, Empress Marie-Louise's emerald necklace, and a few sapphire sets belonging to Queen Marie Amélie and Queen Hortense. But then, look at what they left behind. Sitting right there in the exact same smashed gallery was the Regent Diamond. That is a gem worth $60 million all on its own. And right next to it, the legendary Sancy and Hortense diamonds. The thieves just completely ignored them, which heavily suggests they weren't just blindly grabbing whatever looked shiny. No, they were likely fulfilling a very specific, highly targeted black market order. They knew exactly what to take and exactly what to leave. The profound devastation of this event really can't be overstated. The Paris prosecutor's office put it so powerfully right after the heist, stating, "This is not a loss of money, but a loss of France's history." It really is a sobering thought to sit with. These aren't just collections of pretty jewels. They are the tangible, physical threads connecting modern France to its imperial past, violently severed and carried off in a matter of minutes. So this naturally leads us to the most baffling, frustrating question of the entire event. The Louvre is arguably the most famous, heavily guarded building on the planet. Millions of visitors every year. So where was the security? How on earth does an armed crew just drive a lift truck up to a wall and cut through a window?
Well, this brilliantly exposes a perfect storm of institutional failures. Initial reports revealed an unbelievable detail about the cameras. In that targeted section of the museum, 1 in every 3 rooms didn't even have cameras installed. On top of that, the external security cameras had massive blind spots right on the specific balcony the thieves used. But perhaps the most shocking flaw? There was a localized alarm system specifically meant for that balcony, but according to a French Senate member, it had broken down just days before the heist. The main museum alarm did eventually go off, but if that balcony alarm had been working, guards could have intercepted the crew before they even finished cutting the glass. The failure was so absolute that the museum director immediately offered a resignation to the Ministry of Culture, though surprisingly they refused it.
Now, as shocking as these modern security lapses are, if we take a step back and look at the broader historical context, we realize something kind of fascinating. The Louvre is absolutely no stranger to being targeted. In fact, if you check the records, this is definitely not the first time thieves have successfully walked out with invaluable French treasures.
History shows this is a bit of a recurring nightmare for them. Way back in 1911, a former museum employee famously walked right out of the building with the Mona Lisa tucked under his coat. And ironically, it was the massive global media frenzy from that exact theft that actually catapulted the Mona Lisa to the worldwide fame she enjoys today. Then, in 1976, thieves broke a window and stole King Charles X's sword, a treasure that has literally never been recovered. Fast forward to 1998, and another thief brazenly cut a painting right out of its frame in broad daylight and just slipped away. So this 2025 heist, it's really just the latest, highly escalated chapter in a long, troubled history of security breaches.
But let's bring our focus sharply back to right now, because the fallout from this latest heist has triggered one of the largest manhunts in recent European history. As we speak, a massive task force of between 60 and 100 investigators are working tirelessly around the clock to track down these 4 men, and even more importantly, to intercept those missing royal jewels before they vanish into the underground market forever.
And they're actually making rapid, undeniable progress, largely thanks to one crucial number: 150. Remember that brave staff member who stopped the thieves from burning their getaway truck? Well, because that fire was thwarted, police forensic teams were able to pull roughly 150 critical DNA samples and fingerprints from discarded helmets, gloves, and the inside of the truck itself. That mountain of physical evidence paid off almost immediately. On Saturday, October 25th, less than a week after the heist, police arrested 2 major suspects whose DNA perfectly matched the scene. And get this, one of them even has a prior criminal record for gold theft.
Yet, even with these huge arrests, a massive piece of the puzzle is still entirely missing. Authorities haven't confirmed if any of the stolen artifacts were actually recovered with these suspects, which leaves us staring at this highly provocative final question: with suspects caught but the priceless royal treasure still missing, will this ultimately remain the perfect crime? For now, the magnificent Gallery of Apollo stays firmly closed to the public. It's just sitting there as a quiet crime scene, holding the echoes of an 8-minute breach that shook all of France. It's an ongoing, incredibly high-stakes mystery, and one we are definitely going to be watching closely as it unfolds. Thank you for hanging out with me for this explainer, and stay curious.